Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant, and welcome to Legal Matters. And today we would like to discuss something outstanding which happened just a couple of days back, where the case of Mr. MJ Akbar and Ramani case, where Ramani has been given she has been acquitted from this case, and it's a landmark judgment. To discuss further, let me invite my friend from Ahmedabad, Advocate Jeet Bhatt.
Thank you, Chandrakant, for having me on this show. And yes, it's a very good and remarkable judgment, as you said. And I'm looking forward to discuss and speak about this judgment.
Jeet, the important aspect of this is, if you look at the history of this incident, which was highlighted by Ramani, happened many years back when Akbar was the journalist and he was not the minister. And she actually accused Akbar of sexual harassment. In retaliation, Akbar filed a defamation case on her. And this particular judgment, which has come by the Delhi court, is basically in the second case where the court has said that the woman can file harassment suit anytime in future. Also, it need not be fresh. And I think they have acquitted Ramani from all defamation. That means the woman has right to speak about any harassment that has happened to her. So you can explain to our viewers in much more legal terms what are the different aspects of this judgment.
Yes, Chandrakant, sure. In fact, yes, the allegation were made by Priya Ramani with regards to an incident that happened in the year 1993. She uh, tweeted and also wrote an article in a magazine in 2017, and thereafter in 2018 publicly mentioned the name of the predator who had sexually harassed her in the year 1993, and she named Mr. MJ Akbar to be the predator who had harassed her in a hotel room in during taking an interview in the year 1993 in the month of December. So these tweets and the article that was published, the complainant, that is MJ Akbar, found it to be defamatory and found it to be going against his reputation, and therefore he filed a case of defamation before the criminal court. As defamation is not just a civil wrong, it is also a criminal offense in India, as defamation is prohibited under section 499 of the Indian Penal Code, makes it an offense, and the punishment is prescribed under section 500, which provides for a maximum punishment of 2 years in case if it is found that some person had defamed the complainant. So the defamation case was filed by MJ Akbar, wherein he alleged that his reputation uh, uh, was maligned by the accused Miss Priya Ramani, as she wrote this article and tweeted, and thereafter several tweets wherein several women came out and also narrated the incidents of sexual harassment by Mr. MJ Akbar. So I'll just quickly take you to what were the tweets and the article. The Priya Ramani, in her tweet, made certain malicious imputations, wherein she mentions that I began this piece with my MJ Akbar story. Never named him because he didn't do anything. Lots of women have worse stories about this predator. Maybe they'll share. The media's biggest sexual predator. How many stories do you need to hear? I'm glad MJ Akbar won't be in the workplace more anymore. But Akbar represents countless men who believe they can say and do whatever they want to women without any consequence. You are an expert on obscene phone calls, text, inappropriate compliments, and not taking no for an answer. So this such type of tweet certainly is defamatory, because you are saying somebody, you are referring to him as a predator, the biggest sexual predator, and naming somebody. So if there is no imputation of truth, or if it is not done for public purpose or for public good, then certainly it is an offense of defamation. It falls within the definition of defamation. But there are exceptions to when a defamation cannot be an offense. The first is that there has to be an imputation of truth. So if true incident is shared which defames somebody, then it cannot be a criminal offense. Second, if it is done in for public purpose, for public good, then also it cannot be considered to be an offense for which a person can be punished. So this is what she mentioned in her tweet. There was an article written by her in 2017 in Vogue India magazine, where she narrates the entire incident as what had happened in December 1993, wherein the complainant, Mr. MJ Akbar, had called Priya Ramani to the Hotel Oberoi at 7 p.m. and Priya Ramani reached the hotel along with her friend who had come there to drop her. At the lobby, Miss Ramani tries to find out where Mr. Akbar is, but he's not found. So she goes to the reception and calls Mr. MJ Akbar. And Mr. Akbar asks her to come to her room. So she is a little bit hesitant to go to the room because an interview in a personal room she had never expected. So she did not have the courage to say no. So she went up to the room, and wherein he asked her to sit. And it was a small enclosed room uh, facing the sea, where Mr. Akbar asked her to sit in the chair, and then he asks Ms. Ramani a lot of personal questions rather than with regards to her writing skills and other skills which are required to be appointed as a journalist. And he starts asking whether you are married, whether you are having boyfriend or not. And then he says he offers her a drink, which he refuses. But Mr. Akbar starts taking drink in front of her, and thereafter starts singing old Hindi songs. And thereafter he suggests her to come and sit near her, through which she becomes very much scared. And thereafter she says that I want to leave, and she leaves the room and goes away. And at that time, Mr. Akbar says that somebody from the office will call with regard to the job. But thereafter, she was appointed as a journalist in the newspaper. She worked for around 2 weeks in Delhi office, and thereafter she sought for a transfer and she went to Bombay. But so Miss Ramani in her tweet itself says that he didn't do anything. But he didn't do anything was picked up by Mr. Akbar to say that when she herself admits that I didn't do anything, then how can I be a sexual predator? Therefore, Mr. Akbar filed this case of defamation, saying that her stand itself is contradictory and it can never be true when she herself admits that he didn't do anything and therefore she didn't mention my name. But Ms. Ramani said that he didn't do anything does not mean that an overtly act has to be done. Even suggestions, even certain forms of gestures can be said to be sexual harassment. And it is not necessary that overt acts have to be done. There has to be a touch or there has to be some overt physical act involved for sexual harassment. But at that point in time, and the court also acknowledges the fact that in 1993 there was no law regarding the sexual harassment at workplace. Also, there was no such provision under the Indian Penal Code which would have made this an offense, except there was outrage of modesty. But there was not properly well-defined law, which now has been inserted after 2013 amendment, that is post Nirbhaya incident in Delhi. So this was the case that was put up by MJ Akbar, and also Ms. Ramani said that this is what has happened and that is what I have said, and therefore there is an imputation of truth, and therefore this is not defamation. In order to further the case of the complainant calls for certain witnesses who depose that he has sterling character. He has a great reputation because he's a very big name in the in the journalism industry. He has authored many books, several articles. So he has a stellar reputation. And he says that by way of such tweets and articles, his reputation has been damaged and maligned. Miss Ramani, in furtherance of her defense, produces two very important and crucial witnesses. One is her friend who had come to drop her at the hotel in 1993 December, and she deposes that she had dropped. And thereafter, when the interview got over in the night, Miss Ramani had called her friend and in detail had discussed what had happened. So therefore, she deposes in court that this is what had happened and she had told me, and that is what she deposed in court. Another witness, which is a very important witness, was defense witness 3, Ghazala Wahab, who also deposed that she was a victim of sexual harassment by the complainant, Mr. MJ Akbar himself. And she also disclosed that how was sexually harassed in the chamber of Mr. Akbar by calling her and by continuously messaging her in private emails, and also keeping the door open and keeping at her continuous, and doing some overt acts through which she was completely petrified. And she also complains at that time to another senior lady officer. So that senior lady officer also says that what can be done? This man is like this. So this was also a very important witness in the entire trial. Herself deposed what had happened to her by the accused. So considering the entire evidence and everything that had come on record, deposition, cross-examination, the court accepted the contention of Miss Ramani, and the possibility of her defense that she had disclosed was true regarding the incident of sexual harassment, and that happened in 1993 December in Bombay. Uh, and this was proved by the corroboration of both the witnesses, defense witness, that is her friend who was Nilofer Venkatraman, and the defense witness three was Ghazala Wahab, herself a victim of sexual harassment. This is a very important finding after conducting the entire trial. The court finds in the in the allegation made by Miss Ramani, and therefore holds that since there is an imputation of truth and there is a possibility that what Ramani is saying is true, the incident could have happened. The incident which is narrated in tweets and her article would not become defamatory, and therefore she was acquitted. But the court recognizes several important aspects with regards to sexual harassment at workplace, and acknowledges that our culture uh, is such a culture where women have been respected throughout. And in fact, Mahabharata and Ramayana also some certain instances are shown where the real culture of this country is highlighted. Wherein there are some instances where the court uh, regarding the incident of Lakshman, when Lakshman, that is Ram's brother Lakshman, when he is asked that how did she find Sita, so he says that I did not look up from her feet, so I don't know how she is. But the respect that is shown in this verse is tremendous. How much respect a woman received, and that is the real culture of this country. So that is what is highlighted. There are certain other instances also which are highlighted in Aranya Kand of Ramcharitmanas with regards to the incidents of Jatayu. That Jatayu witnessed the crime of abduction of Sita. He lives long enough just to pass that information of abduction to Ram. Therefore, that is, and he tries to stop Ravan from taking Sita, but is killed in the battle with Ravan. So that is the what the respect is shown to a woman, and therefore certainly such incidents will not happen. And we we have to realize that women are several times victims of such sexual harassment at workplace, and men of good characters, having family, friends of good reputation, also commit such mistake, and women do not come out immediately. So, because they themselves don't know what has happened with them, and there is also a social stigma which is attached. So, therefore, it is not possible every time every woman will come out from the closet and immediately report as to what has happened. Also, the law has gradually developed. It was never developed as it is now. And in 1993, the law was not what it is today. The international covenants, the concept of dignity of women at workplace, and the right of equality are now recognized, which were not there at that time. And therefore, also there is all possibility that women will not always come forward and immediately report as to what has happened. So therefore, the court said that it has to be recognized that women will not always come forward immediately, and when they come forward, they have to be sensitively dealt with and not to be looked upon with suspicion all the time. So therefore, these are all the remarkable aspects of this judgment, and ultimately the court acquits Priya Ramani of the allegation of the charge of defamation against her. So certainly, it's a very welcome and good judgment delivered by the Delhi.
Jeet, thank you very much for explaining this particular judgment so beautifully and in totality. And I'm sure, as you're explaining that in 1993, there were no such laws to prevent such crimes which were happening at that point in time. Uh, But this particular judgment, what is the impact on our society now? uh, I'm sure this has a huge impact. What would that would be?
Certainly, so this gives more power to women, and women will be able to complain not just of a recent incident, but also of incidents that have happened prior. Because this gives tremendous power to women, and it recognizes that this country looks forward for their active participation in the development of this country. It also reproduces one report which says that the workforce in the uh, in the institution in this country is that 80% are male and 24 to 25% are women. That is of the year 2018-19. So that means that a lot of women have to come out and participate in the development of this country, and this is possible only if there are proper mechanism, proper safety, and proper work culture and ethic, which would require them to come out from their domain and actively participate in the development of this. Because there is tremendous potential that can be achieved if they get their due and they get their safety and work environment which they can be comfortable with. So certainly this is a big step ahead. The law recognizes their importance. It gives them equal opportunity and also gives them dignity. And now uh, uh, with the Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2013 at place, it certainly gives them the required safety and working atmosphere, which was not there before. So certainly, it's a welcome step, and it's a good judgment for the future.
I think you made a point during your narration that in India there was a culture of giving a lot of respect to the women. Women was treated as a very highly placed position in the society, and somehow over the years we have lost it. But even during the modern times, the leaders of our country have tried. Even Subhash Chandra Bose and many others who have tried to elevate the status of the women to the equal level. In fact, India allowed voting rights among the first few countries for women, even before the United States. I mean, they started giving those rights. So things like that. So I think with this judgment, I personally feel that there has to be a orientation program, probably at the school level or at the college level, where all these things must be given to the citizens of India, because I think many times such mistakes happen because of ignorance also. What do you feel about this?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, yes, at school level, it should be inculcated. Also, what should be inculcated are the fundamental duties of every citizen under the Constitution. It should be taught to children at a young age, and that will be a big step ahead, because we speak about fundamental rights, but also there are fundamental duties on citizens. So if we follow and adhere to it, then certainly we would be a very developed and a very enlightened citizen. Will have enlightened citizens as well.
I think this is a great step in providing the gender justice by the court here. And I really appreciate the court for giving such a detailed and fantastic order in this case, where, otherwise, if you file your complaint, there could be a defamation against you. So I think this is to prevent all that, so that women can freely talk about their, whatever they have faced, and file a complaint against such predators. So, this is something that is good. However, the court has also said that appeal can be filed, and in case the appeal is filed, then Ms. Ramani can apply for a bail. I think that is also part of the judgment, isn't it?
Yes, but that is a formal part of this judgment, because appeal if appeal is filed, then for the appearance of the accused, he is always asked to provide for bail. So that is a formal procedure which is done in every case when a acquittal is given, so that
I
her
think
presence in the appellate court can be ensured.
I think the court has given a very detailed and very methodical judgment. So now we have to see whether Mr. Akbar files an appeal. But that is something that the future will only tell us. But I think we are all very happy with this judgment. It has finally given the gender justice, and it has actually given justice to so many women who are facing certain certain incidents at workplace. So thank you so much, Jeet, for coming and finding time in discussing this particular case. It was our pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you, Chandrakant, for having me.
Bye bye, and we will discuss some other case in the next episode of Legal Matters. Until then, you have a great week ahead.
Thank you. Same to you.